Hello everyone, it's Jen from Old Tinkerer Studio. Welcome to another Blender 2.8 quick tip tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be learning how to make 6 materials with the Principled BSDF Shader in Blender. We will be using the Cycles render for this quick tip. And if you have the ability to, I would use the GPU on your system. This will make it faster since we're going to be working in rendered mode. Download an HDRI of your choosing. I recommend HDRI Haven. I have a link in the description below. Under your World tab, click on the circle next to Color and choose Environment Texture. And then go ahead and open up the HDRI that you downloaded. Under the Shading Workspace, go into Rendered View and make sure that the HDRI is loaded properly. The first thing we're going to make is a skin type texture. So delete the cube and add a monkey, who is called Suzanne, by the way. Add a default material. For the base color, go ahead and add a skin tone. I'm going to use the hex code of FFE0BD. And then add a darker, similar skin tone for the subsurface color. I'm using the hex code of FF5467. Now for the skin, we're going to be working with the subsurface scattering. What this does is that it simulates the semi-translucent objects in which light rays enter, bounce around, then exit in a different place. Many organic and inorganic materials are not totally opaque right at the surface, so light does not bounce off the top surface. Instead, some light also penetrates the skin surface deeply and scatters around inside, taking on the color of the insides and emerging back out at a different location. Change your subsurface to 0.2 and scroll in. Now you notice that the darker subsurface color is showing up around the outer edges of Suzanne's ears. Now let's look at 3 different types of metal material that can be produced in the Principled shader. The first is a very simple metallic material. The metallic option in the Principled shader is a mix between dielectric, which is diffuse and specular with a possible transparency, and metallic, which is fully specular with complex Fresnel. Let's go ahead and delete Suzanne, and then add a gear. Now if you don't see these options, what you will need to do is make sure that under your properties that you have the Add Mesh Extra Objects option turned on. If you don't see this, there is a link in the description that has a bunch of add-ons in one zip file that you can download from GitHub, and this is included in it. Add a basic material, and you're just going to need the base color. I'm going to change mine slightly. I'm going to use the hex code of A9A9A9. Turn your metallic all the way up to 1, and turn your roughness down to 0.2. Then we have a very basic flat metal texture. Now we can also make this look similar to something like sheet metal by adding the anisotropic option. The anisotropic option changes the amount of anisotropy, which is where the surface changes in appearance as it rotates around its geometric normal. And this is for specular reflection. So change your anisotropic option all the way up to 1. And now you notice that the gear takes on the look of something similar to sheet metal, where you're getting different highlights. Now let's look at a third type of metal that we can make with the Principled shader. So delete your gear and add a UV sphere. Add a basic material. Turn your metallic all the way up to 1, your roughness to 0.2. And then by adding a base color, I'm using the hex code of E7463A. Now we can make something that looks like a Christmas ornament. Rubber is a simple material to make with the Principled shader. Delete your UV sphere and add a torus. Add a material and give the torus a base color. I'm using the hex code of FFE39F, and turn your roughness all the way up to 1. Roughness specifies the microfacet roughness of the surface for diffuse and specular reflection, and this gives us a bit of a rubber-like material. Now we're going to work with fabric. So delete your torus and add a plane. Download a fabric texture. I got mine on Wild Textures and the link is in the description below. Add a material to the plane. Then add an image texture node. Connect the color output of the image texture node to the base color input of the Principled BSDF shader. Then open up your fabric texture. Change your roughness all the way to 1 and change your sheen all the way up to 1. The sheen is the amount of soft velvet-like reflection near the edges for simulating materials such as cloth. Now we have one more material to make, so delete your plane and add a teapot. Again, you'll need that add-on that I mentioned earlier. Go under your modifiers tab and we're going to add a subsurface modifier and change your view and render to 3, and then add a solidify modifier, and we'll just leave everything at their default. Add a material to the teapot and change the transmission to 1. The transmission option is a mix between fully opaque surface at 0 and a fully glass-like transmission at 1. Change your roughness to 0. And then change your IOR to 1.33. The IOR is the index of refraction for transmission. Now we have a very simple glass texture. This was just a quick look at making materials with the Principled shader. Explore the Principled shader options and see what you can make. If you follow along with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, please tweet me your creations or any creations you make in Blender. The link is in the description. If you have any questions or suggestions for tutorials, please leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good day.